Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Angela Glode, Chief Development Officer for the Safe Alliance, and we're here today at the Safe's Family Shelter in one of our kids' activity rooms. And this is a third tour of our three before our Safe Together celebration, virtual celebration that will be on Wednesday. So thanks so much for joining us again. Today, like I said, we're at our family shelter, and I'd like to introduce you to Melinda Cantu, who is our Vice President of Housing and Support Services, and basically over all things that happen on our Grove Boulevard campus, which includes a family emergency shelter, a family transitional living shelter, and then tons and tons of wraparound services to support the families who may be here. So one thing folks don't necessarily know about Melinda is that she has actually been with SAFE for 30 years. I know, yes, she was about 5 when she started, but 30 years of work with SAFE in almost every program that we run, knows things inside and out. And I would say probably before coronavirus would tell you she has seen everything, uh, but this is a whole new day. So welcome, thank you for being
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
So let's just start with the basics. Tell us a little bit about our family emergency shelter and who's there and kind of what's going on.
Thanks. So here on the Grove campus, our family shelter is for people who are in the most danger, who are at the highest level of danger. They have to be behind the gates, literally behind our gates. And what we have is a whole bunch of rooms, individual rooms with shared living, dining, and kitchen. And they all come in with their families. Today we have about 88 people. 57 of them are children, and they come in and we provide services. It's time for them to really connect to resources and get what they need in order to put their lives back together, to start that process of healing.
Exactly. So we have 88 people in our emergency shelter. We have another 130 people in our supportive housing. And then we have an additional 500 or 600 folks who are out in community-based housing in our various housing programs. But we are going to focus on emergency shelter for today's conversation. So how do people get into emergency shelter?
So right now, there are several ways that people come into our shelter. Predominantly, they come in through our Safe line, which is calls, chats, or texts. And people are screened at that point. Again, highest level of danger. But we also work with our law enforcement community. They bring people in. We have a program on site, our forensic nursing program. Some people come in straight from that program after they get forensic exam. And then we have a program called Safe Cares. That's our human trafficking program, and people come into the shelter that way as well.
Right. So we did learn from Erin on the Safe Line that we have a waiting list for emergency shelter that is as long, if not longer, than the number of beds that we have. Tell us a little bit about what it means to those families or individuals who do make it behind the gates, and then what does a typical day look like under normal circumstances?
Absolutely. So it's huge. When people are at the highest level of danger, coming into a program, into our shelter, is really, really important for them. They're in so much danger. They're so scared. And sometimes, I can be honest with you, I sometimes use the word shell-shocked. But they're able to come in. We're able to provide them with everything that they need. They have access to food and medical resources. We're able to provide case management and counseling so that they can access additional resources in our community, typically. And a typical day in the life is, just like all of us, we get up in the morning, we make breakfast, we have food available. There's that shared kitchen area that they can cook for their children. The children will sometimes be on our on-site school and daycare, and so they walk them right across our parking lot into that program and then go back and they meet with their counselors or their case manager. Sometimes they're enrolled in other programs externally. We do a lot of work with getting jobs and making sure that people have access to what they need. Everybody's different.
Right.
Every single person is different. And our goal is to make sure that we help them be as safe as possible and productive as possible so that they have that next best thing for them and their families.
Well, we know that right now is anything but typical. Tell us what are some of the greatest challenges we're seeing both with our clients but also in terms of service delivery right now.
So obviously right now there's a lot going on there. Kids are at home. We're trying to make sure that we provide different activities and support to those families and to those children, really looking like how they're going to access educational services and support. And then a lot of people are losing their jobs right now, particularly folks who are in the service industry here in our community. And so we're trying really hard to make sure that we are providing everything. And obviously we all know that things feel very scarce sometimes. That's the same for all of our clients. The 88, the 133, those 500 externally, we're really, really trying to make sure that we get everything that they need and support that they need.
And then we know, of course, that the quarantine, the isolation, the confinement that we're all, most of us are doing just to remain healthy, and in many ways it's turning into great family time and together time. For families who experience violence and abuse, there's nothing safe about being at home. And so we know that we're going to see more calls, adult to child and adult to adult. What can folks do?
Absolutely continue to call and reach out. One of the most important things that we have in this community is our Safe Line, particularly for those people who are experiencing higher levels of violence and abuse during this particular time. But it's calls, it's chats, it's texts. We do all of those platforms, and sometimes it's safer just to do a quick chat or a text.
Right.
And so we definitely have that, but we're always doing safety planning with our families. Anybody who contacts us, we're coordinating with our other organizations, other shelter programs. We're making sure that people have that safety net as much as possible, particularly during this time.
Yeah. Okay, tell us a great story. We know you've got them, we know you've got tons, but give us one.
I have a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stories, but one in particular that's coming to mind right now is about a woman who I'm going to call Monica. Monica was in a relationship for a really long time. She started with her love of her life at 16. They got married when she was 20. She started having kids. But by the time she was 30, she had been in the hospital twice, and really dangerous situation. But what happened after she got home was that her husband threw her oldest child across the room. And this happens quite often, that I hear survivors say, you know, he can do anything to me, but once he starts hurting my kids, that's when I know it's time to leave. And that's what Monica said. It was time to leave. So she contacted us. Back then it was just a phone, and she came into our shelter, and she stayed for several months. She got access to resources. She got a job. She worked with a counselor. She was able to move out, and her 4 children moved into a community. They got access to really good daycare and school. And now she does work with survivors in her community. And Angela, that's the magic.
Great.
That's why I do what I do for 30 years. That's why I do, because we see people at the lowest times of their life, but then we also see the survivors, and they come back and they're able to do this with other people and help them.
Right.
That's it. That's why I do it.
And so many of our staff are that same story, that they went through some sort of abuse or violence and came out stronger than ever, and now turn around and give back to others who are going through the same thing. So it's about breaking the cycle. It's about helping people realize their own potential and giving them the tools to meet that potential and go on and live healthy, independent lives out in the community. So thank you so much for everything that you do, and all of your frontline staff who I know are here every day still, keeping our doors open and continuing with services as much as possible. Thank you all in the community for supporting our work and making it possible for us to be here. We look forward to seeing you on Wednesday at our actual virtual event, Safe Together virtual celebration. You can find out some more information at safeaustin.org/celebration. We'll see you on Wednesday, and thank you so much. Have a great day.